Good afternoon, dear students. This is teacher Maria Milagros. And in this video, you will find the recording of the content taught today in our earlier lesson regarding money. I know the class was different from usual due to technical problems, but the presentation is already available in Academia, and you also have this short video where I will be explaining everything in case there is any doubt. You already know the netiquette agreement, and of course, this is not a Zoom session, but I wanted to remind you of it because it concerns me that not many have their notebook ready when the class starts. And remember that this class requests a notebook for you to use that notebook. So make sure that for future lessons, you have your materials available. Then we will start. This video, as I said, focuses on the content that is included in our second lesson. In this case, it's money. So we discussed money. What is it? What functions does it have? What types of money do we have? And that is going to be the content of this video as well. So we started with the phrase of, or with the question of what is money? But in this presentation, we kick off with this phrase by Benjamin Franklin, time is money. Now, I think it's Franklin. Yeah, it's Franklin. Sorry about the weird vowel there. Franklin. So we discussed this quote and we got to the conclusion that we tend to equal time and money because they are both valuable. They both imply something that is not easily obtainable or something that requires to be administered or that has a lot of value. So that was our conclusion regarding the discussion of this phrase. We also went back to the definition of economics that we saw last class, mainly that economics is the study of how people, like you and I, when faced with scarcity, having more wants and needs than resources, make rational self-interest choices in using limited resources to satisfy wants and needs. The word that is in a different color right here, choices, is going to be our main word for today. Why is that? Because choice is part of our daily lives. Choice is what we have to engage in when we are faced with limited resources, like time, like money. You need to know that during our daily lives, we use a variety of resources, but these resources can be grouped into three basic categories, mainly time, money, and materials. And we're going to be focusing, of course, on the topic of this presentation, which is money. But each time we encounter a limited resource, such as any of these three, we need to make choices. If we had infinite time or infinite money or infinite materials, then we wouldn't have the need to choose, but we do need to choose. So that is what this is all about. We also discussed these questions. Why do we have money? What would life be like without money? And where does it come from? And we're going to discuss mainly the third question. Where does it come from? How did we, as a civilization, manage to create the concept of money and develop whole economic systems related to money and such? So we're going to get or put ourselves into the place of Jim. Who is Jim? Well, Jim is a hard-working guy who specializes in construction. So he builds things. At the end of each week, Jim gets paid for his work. However, he is not paid with money. His boss pays him in kind. What does it mean? That he gets paid with what he works with. In this case, he gets paid with lumber. in wood because that is what he uses. So instead of a salary, he receives a bunch of wood, and that is the retribution for his work. This is called bartering. Bartering is the exchange or trade. It's also a synonym for trade of goods and services for other goods and services. Is when we have a certain set of things or something that we did, a service, and we exchange or trade those goods and those services for other goods and services. So in this particular case, it means that Jim exchanges his services in construction for lumber. He provides his services, and in return, they give him wood like the one in the image. However, imagine that after a hard day's work, Jim is feeling a bit hungry. He is hungry. He needs to eat because he just spent a lot of effort in building. So he wants some food, and he takes his pay, what he got, the lumber he earned, to the grocery store to get some food. Sam explains to Bill, which is the person in charge of the grocery store, that he would like some food. Like, hey, you know, I want to get some groceries and I have wood in exchange. I can pay you with wood. But Bill tells Sam, you know, I don't need wood. What I really want and what I really need is a new bicycle. So you have Sam who wants to feed himself, but he's not able to pay for the groceries because what the person is requesting is not what he has, which is wood. He's not requesting wood. He requests a bicycle. So Jim would need to find someone to take wood for a bicycle and then take the bicycle and exchange it for groceries. You see, it's a bit more complicated. So this is what he needs to do. He has to find somebody who wants the lumber in exchange for a bicycle and then give the bicycle to the owner of the grocery store. So it gets troublesome. It gets complicated because will you actually find someone who wants to trade lumber for a bicycle? Kind of hard. So as you can see, bartering only works in small settings with a few individuals. In fact, if you go back to Sociales in elementary school and you study the indigenous tribes, you know that they barter. Many of them do not have any structure when it comes to economy and paying for things. What they do is that they exchange. Hey, you know, I need, I don't know, 4 kilograms of rice. And then the other one is like, okay, I have a cow, let's trade. And you get a cow, a really small cow, and the other gives you the rice or the corn or whatever. It works because it is a really small society. However, in larger, more complex societies, it doesn't work very well at all. So we have our first check your understanding question. What is another name or a synonym for trading? We have bartering, borrowing, service, and collecting. And the right answer in this list of options is bartering, because borrowing is just lending something to someone so that they can return it afterwards. Service is not related and collecting is not either. So bartering, remember, they're synonyms. The thing is that many thousands of years ago, people realized what we did just now, that the bartering system has limitations. So what they did was that they started using objects to make it easier to exchange goods and services. They assigned value to it. It's like, oh, you want a pile of wood to start a fire. Okay, you're going to give me 3 rocks. You want some flour to make bread. Okay, that is going to cost you 1 rock or 1 shell, because those were the objects that they used. Some civilizations used shells, like the ones from the sea. Others used cereals. People in Japan used grass. Other civilizations used salt. That is why the salaries are called like that, salaries, sal. In Spanish, it's more evident, salario, sal, because it was a highly valuable resource that was used to pay people. Still, other civilizations used precious metals, such as gold. And from those kinds of people, the money that we use has evolved from precious metals to really small pieces of metal in the shape of coins, and then paper money, etc. So, as you know, today, paper currencies along with coins are the most frequently used types of physical money. Paper currencies and coins have replaced all these old shapes and forms of physical money. However, remember that we do not only have physical money, we have cryptocurrencies, we have digital money. So it's not only about physical money. And if we had to define money, in short, we would say that money is something that is accepted as payment for goods and services. Anything that is accepted as payment for goods and services, that is not another thing or another service, is money. And to close, you need to know that money serves three basic functions. That means that we use money for three different things. The first one is when we use it as a medium of exchange, when people trade it for a product. So when you go to the supermarket or you go to a video game store and you say, hey, I want a new console. And they tell you, okay, the price is $50, and you give them the $50 and they give you the console. That is money as a medium of exchange. You're exchanging your money for a product, in this case, a console. Then you have the second function, which is the unit of accounting, which is when people use it to compare the value of products. This one is a bit more abstract, but imagine that you go to the supermarket and your mom tells you, choose the cheapest protein there is. So you go there and you find out that you can compare how much a pound of chicken is to how much a pound of crab or lobster or fish is. That is a unit of accounting. You're using it to compare the value of a given unit of products. And third, we have money as a store of value. Store, the verb to store means to save, to keep away. So money is used as a store of value when people save money for future spending. For example, remember the grocer Bill that wanted a bicycle? Okay, if Jim had paid him with real money for his really small purchase, that money wouldn't have been enough to pay for a bicycle. So Bill has to save or store the money he earns from many purchases in order to save to get his new bicycle. So in summary, what did we just see? First of all, types of limited resources, the definition of bartering, the limitations of bartering, the objects that humans first used to make it easier to exchange goods and services, and last but not least, the definition of money and the types of functions that money has. Medium of exchange is number 1, unit of accounting number 2, store of value number 3. What do you need to do? Copy in your notebook the slides that have the star. So it's 2, 5, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And the check your understanding questions. In this case, it's only slide 11. Make sure to have your homework number 1 ready, which is due today, Friday, and upload the screenshots to Academia. And also you have a new assignment for this week, which is a special project called the Scarcity Game. The guidelines are in Academia. And if you have any questions regarding that, you can send me an email and I will reply as soon as I'm able to. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.